Evolution. Introduction. Second PUC Biology. Evolution is the gradual change in the characteristics of living organisms over many generations. It explains how different organisms have developed from common ancestors and how the great diversity of life on Earth has originated. The study of evolution helps us understand the origin of life, the development of different species, and the relationships between organisms. According to the theory of evolution, organisms change over time due to factors such as variation, natural selection, mutation, and genetic drift. The concept of evolution was strongly explained by Charles Darwin through his theory of natural selection. His famous book, On the Origin of Species, published in 1859, explained how organisms that are better adapted to their environment survive and reproduce. In simple words, evolution is the process by which living organisms change and develop into new forms over a long period of time. Number 1. Age of the Earth. Earth is approximately 4.5 billion years old. Initially, Earth was a hot, molten mass. The early atmosphere was very different from the present atmosphere. As Earth cooled, water vapor condensed and formed oceans. Early atmosphere. The primitive atmosphere mainly contained methane, CH2, ammonia, NH3, hydrogen, H2, water vapor, H2O. According to the Opar and Haldane theory, the early atmosphere was, open quote, reducing in nature, close quote. This means it had little or no free oxygen, O2. Important NEET point, free oxygen was absent in the primitive atmosphere. This was important because oxygen can destroy many newly formed organic molecules through oxidation. Number 2. Theories about the origin of life. Different scientists proposed different ideas about how life originated. A. Theory of special creation. This theory states that, open quote, life was created by a supernatural or divine power. Close quote. Limitation. This theory is not scientifically testable and does not explain the biological process of origin of life. B. Theory of spontaneous generation. According to this old theory, open quote, life can arise suddenly from non-living matter. Close quote. For example, people once believed that flies arose from decaying meat, mice arose from dirty clothes, microorganisms arose spontaneously. Disproved by Louis Pasteur. He demonstrated that microorganisms arise from pre-existing microorganisms, not spontaneously. C. Theory of panspermia. This theory suggests that, open quote, life or spores of life came to Earth from outer space. Close quote. The organisms or spores may have traveled through meteorites, comets, cosmic dust. Important point. Panspermia does not explain the original origin of life. It only suggests that life may have come from somewhere else. Number 3. Opar and Haldane theory of chemical evolution. This is one of the most important theories for NEET. It was proposed independently by A.I. Oparin, Russian scientist, J.B.S. Haldane, British scientist. According to this theory, open quote, life originated from non-living matter through a gradual process of chemical evolution. Close quote. Basic sequence. Inorganic molecules, simple organic molecules, complex organic molecules, first living organisms. Number 4. Stages of chemical evolution. Stage 1. Formation of simple inorganic molecules. The early Earth contained simple inorganic substances such as water, methane, ammonia, hydrogen. The atmosphere was hot and reducing. Stage 2. Formation of simple organic molecules. Energy was required to convert inorganic molecules into organic molecules. Sources of energy included lightning, ultraviolet radiation, volcanic heat, radioactive substances. These energy sources caused chemical reactions and resulted in the formation of simple organic molecules. Examples: amino acids, sugars, nitrogenous bases, fatty acids. Stage 3. Formation of complex organic molecules. Simple organic molecules combine to form complex molecules. For example, amino acids, proteins, nucleotides, nucleic acids, simple sugars, complex carbohydrates. These complex molecules were essential for the development of life. Stage 4. Formation of protobions. Complex organic molecules gradually formed aggregates or structures called protobions. These were not true living organisms, but had some properties similar to life. They could maintain an internal environment, show some chemical reactions, develop a boundary-like structure. Examples proposed by scientists include coeservates, microspheres. Stage 5. Formation of the first living organisms. Eventually, some molecules develop the ability to 1. Store genetic information, 2. Replicate themselves, 3. Carry out chemical reactions. This led to the first primitive living organisms. The first organisms were probably single-celled, anaerobic, heterotrophic, prokaryotic. Why anaerobic? Because free oxygen was absent in the early atmosphere. Why heterotrophic? They probably obtained organic molecules from the surrounding environment. Number 5. Miller-Urey experiment. Very important for NEET. The Miller-Urey experiment provided experimental support for the chemical evolution theory. Scientists Stanley Miller, Harold Urey. Year 1953. Experimental setup. They created laboratory conditions similar to the primitive Earth. The apparatus contained gases: methane, CH score, ammonia, NH3, hydrogen, H2, water vapor, H2O. They used electric sparks to simulate lightning. After about 1 week, they observed the formation of amino acids, organic compounds. Conclusion. Open quote. Simple inorganic molecules can give rise to organic molecules under primitive Earth conditions. Close quote. NEET important facts point. Scientists Stanley Miller and Harold Urey. Year 1953. Energy source electric sparks. Atmosphere simulated. Reducing atmosphere. Gases used CH guard, NH3, H2, H2O. Products formed amino acids and organic molecules. Number 6. What was the first genetic material? This is a very important concept. Scientists believe that RNA may have been the first genetic material. This idea is called the RNA world hypothesis. RNA is special because it can perform 2 important functions. 1. Genetic information. Storage. RNA can store hereditary information. 2. Catalytic activity. Some RNA molecules can act as enzymes. These catalytic RNAs are called, open quote, ribozymes, close quote. Therefore, RNA could have acted as both, genetic material plus catalyst. This makes RNA a strong candidate for the first genetic material. 9. Importance of oxygen. The increase in oxygen caused major changes. Oxygen helped in 1. Development of aerobic respiration, 2. Production of more energy, 3. Evolution of complex organisms, 4. Formation of the ozone layer. The ozone layer protected organisms from harmful ultraviolet radiation. This allowed life to gradually move from water to land. Number 10. Overall sequence of origin of life. Remember this sequence for NEET. Primitive Earth, inorganic molecules, CH squared, NH3, H2, H2O, energy from lightning, UV rays, volcanic heat. Simple organic molecules, amino acids, sugars, nitrogenous bases. Complex organic molecules, proteins, nucleic acids, carbohydrates. Protobionts, coacervates, RNA-based primitive systems. First primitive cells, anaerobic heterotrophs, autotrophs. Photosynthetic organisms, oxygen accumulation, aerobic organisms, more complex life forms. Most important NEET points to remember. 1. Earth is approximately 4.5 billion years old. 2. Early atmosphere was reducing and lacked free oxygen. 3. Oparin and Haldane proposed chemical evolution. 4. Miller and Urey experimentally supported chemical evolution. 5. Miller-Urey experiment was performed in 1953. 6. Electric sparks simulated lightning. 7. The experiment produced amino acids. 8. The first organisms were probably anaerobic heterotrophs. 9. RNA is considered a possible first genetic material. 10. Ribozymes are catalytic RNA molecules. 11. Oxygen accumulation occurred later due to photosynthetic organisms. 12. The ozone layer formed after oxygen accumulation and helped protect life from UV radiation. The age of the Earth is approximately A. 2.5 billion years, B. 3.5 billion years, C. 4.5 billion years, D. 10 billion years. Answer 2. The primitive atmosphere of Earth was A. Oxidizing, B. Reducing, C. Neutral, D. Highly oxygenated. Answer 3. Which gas was absent in significant amounts in the primitive atmosphere? A. Methane, B. Ammonia, C. Hydrogen, D. Free oxygen. Answer. The theory of chemical evolution was proposed by A. Darwin and Wallace, B. Oparin and Haldane, C. Miller and Urey, D. Watson and Crick. Answer 5. The Oparin-Haldane theory explains A. Natural selection, B. Origin of species, C. Origin of life through chemical evolution, D. Origin of the universe. 6. Miller and Urey conducted their famous experiment in A. 1925, B. 1942, C. 1953, D. 1965. Answer C. 7. Which energy source was used in the Miller-Urey experiment? A. Solar energy only, B. Electric sparks, C. Nuclear energy, D. Mechanical energy. Answer B. Which of the following was not used in the Miller-Urey experiment? A. Methane, B. Ammonia, C. Hydrogen, D. Oxygen. 9. The Miller-Urey experiment produced A. DNA directly, B. Living cells, C. Amino acids and organic compounds, D. Multicellular organisms. Answer C. 10. The first living organisms were probably A. Aerobic autotrophs, B. Aerobic heterotrophs, C. Anaerobic heterotrophs, D. Photosynthetic eukaryotes. 11. The RNA world hypothesis suggests that A. DNA was the first molecule, B. RNA was the first genetic material, C. Proteins were the first genetic material, D. Lipids were the first genetic material. 12. Catalytic RNA molecules are called A. Ribosomes, B. Ribozymes, C. Nucleosomes, D. Lysosomes. 13. Which molecule can function as both genetic material and catalyst? A. DNA, B. Protein, C. RNA, D. Lipid. 14. The correct sequence in chemical evolution is A. Organic molecules, inorganic molecules, cells, B. Inorganic molecules, simple organic molecules, complex organic molecules, first cells, C. Cells, organic molecules, inorganic molecules, D. Proteins, atoms, cells. Answer 15. Coacervates are A. Fully developed living cells, B. Aggregates of organic molecules, C. Multicellular organisms, D. Viruses. 16. The first organisms were probably anaerobic because A. They lived only in oceans, B. Free oxygen was absent in the primitive atmosphere. Oxygen was toxic to all organisms, D. They had no mitochondria. Oxygen began accumulating in the atmosphere mainly due to A. Volcanic eruptions, B. Lightning, C. Photosynthetic organisms, D. Meteorites. Answer 18. The ozone layer was formed mainly from A. Nitrogen, B. Carbon dioxide, C. Oxygen, D. Methane. 19. The theory that life came from outer space is called A. Abiogenesis, B. Panspermia, C. Natural selection, D. Mutation theory. 20. Louis Pasteur disproved A. Chemical evolution, B. Natural selection, C. Spontaneous generation, D. Panspermia. Answer most important NEET tricky question. Assertion. The first organisms were anaerobic heterotrophs. Reason. The primitive atmosphere had abundant free oxygen. Answer. Assertion is true, but reason is false. The primitive atmosphere had little or no free oxygen. Quick memory trick. OHMR, O. Operon and chemical evolution. H. Heterotrophic anaerobes. First organisms. M. Miller and Urey, amino acids. R. RNA, first genetic material candidate. Forms. Theory. NEET short explanation. The evolution of life forms explains how simple organisms gradually changed into more complex organisms over a long period of time. According to the O'Piran-Haldane theory, life originated from non-living matter through chemical evolution. Simple inorganic molecules present on primitive Earth formed organic molecules. These organic molecules gradually became complex and eventually formed the first primitive living cells. The first organisms were probably simple, unicellular, anaerobic, and heterotrophic organisms. Later, autotrophic and photosynthetic organisms evolved. Photosynthesis released oxygen into the atmosphere, leading to the evolution of aerobic organisms. Over millions of years, organisms gradually diversified and evolved into different groups through variations, mutations, recombination, and natural selection. Evolutionary sequence: simple molecules, organic molecules, first cells, prokaryotes, eukaryotes, multicellular organisms, complex life forms. In simple words, evolution is the gradual change and diversification of life forms from simple organisms into complex organisms over millions of years. Evidences for evolution, NEET exam explanation. Evidences for evolution are scientific observations that prove that organisms have changed over time and that different organisms may have evolved from common ancestors. The major evidences are: 1. Paleontological evidence, fossils. 2. Comparative anatomy and morphology. 3. Embryological evidence. 4. Molecular evidence. 5. Biochemical evidence. 6. Biogeographical evidence. Number 1. Paleontological evidence, fossils. What are fossils? Fossils are the preserved remains, impressions, or traces of organisms that lived in the past. Examples: bones, teeth, shells, footprints, impressions of plants and animals. Fossils are found mainly in sedimentary rocks. How do fossils provide evidence for evolution? The fossil record shows older rocks contain simpler organisms. Newer rocks contain more complex organisms. Organisms changed gradually over time. Some fossils show transitional features between two groups. Example: Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx is an important connecting link between, open quote, reptiles, birds, close quote. It had reptilian features, teeth, long bony tail, claws on fingers. Avian features, feathers, wings, bird-like body structure. Therefore, Archaeopteryx provides evidence for the evolution of birds from reptile-like ancestors. Number 2. Comparative anatomy and morphology. This evidence is based on comparing the body structures of different organisms. It mainly includes homologous organs, analogous organs, vestigial organs. A. Homologous organs. Homologous organs have, open quote, the same basic structure and origin but different functions, close quote. Examples: forelimb of humans, grasping; forelimb of whale, swimming; wing of bat, flying; forelimb of horse, running. Their basic skeletal structure is similar, but their functions are different. Evolutionary significance. Homologous organs indicate, open quote, common ancestry and divergent evolution, close quote. Example: common ancestor, different environments, different adaptations, different functions. This is called divergent evolution. B. Analogous organs. Analogous organs have, open quote, different structure and origin but similar functions, close quote. Examples: wings of birds, wings of butterflies. Both are used for flying, but their structure and evolutionary origin are completely different. Evolutionary significance. Analogous organs indicate, open quote, convergent evolution, close quote. Example: different ancestors, similar environment, similar adaptation. C. Vestigial organs. Vestigial organs are, open quote, reduced and functionless or less functional organs in present-day organisms, close quote. Examples in humans: appendix, coccyx or tailbone, wisdom teeth, ear muscles, nictitating membrane. These organs were functional in ancestors but have become reduced over time. Significance. Vestigial organs provide evidence of, open quote, evolution from ancestral organisms, close quote. Number 3. Embryological evidence. Embryology is the study of the development of an embryo. Early embryos of different vertebrates show similarities. For example, embryos of fish, birds, reptiles, mammals show certain similarities during early development. They may show pharyngeal arches, post-anal tail. These similarities suggest that vertebrates may have evolved from common ancestors. Important NEET point: similarities in embryonic development indicate common ancestry. Number 4. Molecular evidence. Molecular evidence is one of the strongest evidences for evolution. It is based on comparing DNA, RNA, proteins, amino acid sequences between organisms. Example: humans and chimpanzees have a very high similarity in their DNA. This suggests that they share a relatively recent common ancestor. General rule, open quote, more molecular similarity equals closer evolutionary relationship, close quote. Number 5. Biochemical evidence. All living organisms have many common biochemical features. For example, organisms use DNA, RNA, ATP, proteins, similar genetic code. The genetic code is nearly universal in living organisms. This suggests that all organisms may have descended from a common ancestor. Number 6. Biogeographical evidence. Biogeography is the study of the geographical distribution of organisms. The distribution of organisms in different regions provides evidence for evolution. Example: Darwin's finches. Charles Darwin observed different species of finches on the Galapagos Islands. They had different beaks, different feeding habits, but they were believed to have evolved from a common ancestral finch. This is an example of, open quote, adaptive radiation, close quote. Important comparison for NEET: feature, homologous organs, analogous organs. Structure, similar, different. Origin, same, different. Function, different. Similar. Evolution, divergent, convergent. Example: human arm and whale flipper, bird wing and butterfly wing. NEET quick revision. Fossils show evolutionary history and transitional forms. Homologous organs, same origin, different functions. Divergent evolution. Analogous organs, different origin, same function. Convergent evolution. Vestigial organs, reduced organs inherited from ancestors. Embryology. Similar embryonic development suggests common ancestry. Molecular evidence, DNA and protein similarities show evolutionary relationships. Biogeography, geographic distribution of organisms supports evolution. One-line summary, open quote, fossils, comparative anatomy, embryology, molecular biology, biochemistry, and biogeography together provide strong evidence that present-day organisms have evolved from common ancestors over a long period of time. Adaptive radiation, deep explanation for NEET. Definition: Adaptive radiation is the process by which organisms from a common ancestral species rapidly diversify into different species, each adapted to a different habitat, food source, or way of life. Simple meaning, open quote, one common ancestor, many different species, different adaptations, close quote. This is a type of divergent evolution. How does adaptive radiation occur? Suppose one ancestral species enters a new environment with many different resources. Different groups of this species may eat different types of food, live in different habitats, face different environmental conditions, develop different variations. Over many generations, natural selection favors useful variations in each group. Eventually, the groups become so different that they form new species. Sequence, common ancestor, variation in population, different habitats, food sources, natural selection, different adaptations, formation of different species. Example 1. Darwin's finches. This is the most important example of adaptive radiation for NEET. Charles Darwin observed finches on the Galapagos Islands. It is believed that all the different finches evolved from a common ancestral finch. Different islands had different food resources. As a result, different finches developed different beaks. Different beaks help them eat different food. Type of beak, food, large, strong beak, hard seeds, small, pointed beak, small seeds, long beak, insects, specialized beak, different food sources. Over time, these finches became different species. Evolutionary pattern. One ancestral finch. Different islands and food sources. Different beak adaptations. Different species of finches. This is called adaptive radiation. Example 2. Australian marsupials. Another classic example is the evolution of different marsupials in Australia. Many marsupials evolved from a common ancestral marsupial. Different species adapted to different ways of life. Examples include kangaroo, grazing, koala, tree-dwelling, wombat, burrowing, marsupial mole, digging, Tasmanian devil, carnivorous lifestyle. These animals evolved different adaptations from a common ancestor. Therefore, Australian marsupials are an important example of adaptive radiation. Example 3. Mammals in different habitats. Mammals also diversified into different forms depending on their habitats. For example, land, horse, deer, water, whale, dolphin, air, underground, mole. These organisms show adaptations to different environments. Adaptive radiation and divergent evolution. Adaptive radiation is considered a form of divergent evolution. Divergent evolution. In divergent evolution, open quote, one common ancestor gives rise to different species with different characteristics, close quote. Example, common ancestor species A, habitat 1, species B, habitat 2, species C, habitat 3. The species become increasingly different over time. Adaptive radiation versus convergent evolution. This is important for NEET. Feature, adaptive radiation, convergent evolution. Starting point, common ancestor. Result, different forms, similar forms. Evolution type, divergent, convergent. Example, Darwin's finches. Wings of birds and butterflies. Adaptive radiation versus normal evolution. Adaptive radiation occurs when a species enters a new environment. Many ecological niches are available. Different populations occupy different niches. Natural selection acts differently on each population. New species are formed. Ecological niche. An ecological niche means the specific role and position of an organism in its environment. For example, what it eats, where it lives, how it obtains food, how it interacts with the environment. Different species may occupy different niches. Important NEET concept, adaptive radiation and natural selection. Adaptive radiation occurs due to 1. Variation. Individuals of a population show differences. 2. Isolation. Different groups become separated geographically or ecologically. 3. Natural selection. Different environments select different favorable variations. 4. Reproductive isolation. Over time, the groups become unable to interbreed successfully. 5. Speciation. New species are formed. NEET example question. Question. Darwin's finches are an example of A. Convergent evolution, B. Artificial selection, C. Adaptive radiation, D. Genetic drift. Answer C. Adaptive radiation. Adaptive radiation is associated with A. Formation of many species from a common ancestor, B. Formation of one species from many ancestors, C. No variation, D. Artificial selection only. Answer. Very important NEET points. Adaptive radiation equals evolution of different species from a common ancestor. It is a form of divergent evolution. It occurs due to adaptation to different environments or ecological niches. Darwin's finches are the classic example. Australian marsupials are another important example. Different species show different adaptations. Natural selection plays an important role. It can lead to speciation. Biological evolution, deep explanation for NEET. 1. What is biological evolution? Biological evolution is the gradual change in the heritable characteristics of populations over many generations. In simple words, open quote, evolution is the change in the genetic composition of a population over generations, leading to the formation of new organisms and species. Close quote. Important, evolution occurs in a population, not in an individual organism. For example, an individual giraffe does not evolve during its lifetime. Instead, changes in the population accumulate over many generations. Number 2, basic concept of evolution. The basic evolutionary process can be represented as variation, natural selection, adaptation, reproductive isolation, speciation. Let's understand each step. Number 3, variation. Variation means the differences between individuals of the same species. For example, humans differ in height, skin color, blood group, eye color, resistance to diseases. Sources of variation. A. Mutation. A mutation is a sudden change in the DNA. Example, DNA change, new characteristic. Mutations can be beneficial, harmful, neutral. Beneficial mutations may help an organism survive and reproduce. B. Recombination. During sexual reproduction, genes from two parents combine. This creates new combinations of genes. Recombination occurs during crossing over, independent assortment, random fertilization. Importance, open quote, mutation and recombination are major sources of variation. Close quote. Number 4, natural selection. Natural selection was explained by Charles Darwin. According to Darwin, open quote, organisms with favorable variations survive and reproduce more successfully than organisms with less favorable variations. Close quote. This is commonly called, open quote, survival of the fittest. Close quote. Important, fittest does not necessarily mean the strongest. It means, open quote, best adapted to the environment. Close quote. Number 5, Darwin's theory of natural selection. Darwin proposed the following ideas. A. Overproduction. Organisms produce more offspring than can survive. Example, a single fish may produce thousands of eggs. B. Struggle for existence. Because resources are limited, organisms compete for food, water, space. There is competition, intraspecific struggle between individuals of the same species, interspecific struggle between individuals of different species, environmental struggle between organisms and environmental conditions. C. Variations. Individuals in a population show variations. Some variations are useful, some are harmful. D. Survival of the fittest. Individuals with favorable variations have a better chance of surviving, reaching reproductive age, producing offspring. E. Natural selection. Favorable variations are passed to future generations. Over many generations, these variations become common in the population. Number 6, example, industrial melanism. Industrial melanism is an excellent example of natural selection. It was observed in the peppered moth, open quote, Biston bechellaria, close quote. Before industrialization, tree trunks were covered with light-colored lichens. Light-colored moths were better camouflaged. Dark moths were easily seen by birds. After industrialization, smoke killed lichens. Tree trunks became dark due to soot. Dark-colored moths became better camouflaged. Birds could easily see light-colored moths. Therefore, dark moths survived more, reproduced more, their population increased. This is natural selection. Number 7, adaptation. An adaptation is a heritable feature that helps an organism survive and reproduce in its environment. Examples: camel, hump, long legs, ability to survive with little water. Polar bear, thick fur, thick layer of fat, white color for camouflage. Cactus, spines instead of leaves, thick stem, water storage. Adaptations arise due to natural selection acting on variations. Number 8, reproductive isolation. For new species to form, populations must become reproductively isolated. This means they can no longer successfully reproduce with each other. Types include geographical isolation, behavioral isolation, temporal isolation, mechanical isolation. Over time, isolated populations accumulate genetic differences. Eventually, they become separate species. This process is called open quote, speciation, close quote. Number 9, mechanisms of evolution. According to modern evolutionary theory, evolution occurs due to changes in the gene pool of a population. The major mechanisms are 1. Mutation, 2. Recombination, 3. Gene flow, 4. Genetic drift, 5. Natural selection. Number 10. Gene flow. Gene flow is the movement of genes from one population to another. It occurs due to migration of individuals, movement of pollen, migration of animals. Example, population A, population B. Genes can move between these populations. Gene flow may increase genetic variation, make populations genetically similar. Number 11, genetic drift. Genetic drift is, open quote, random change in the frequency of alleles in a population. Close quote. It is especially important in small populations. It occurs by chance and not necessarily because one trait is better. A. Founder effect. When a small group of individuals leaves a large population and starts a new population, the new population may have different allele frequencies. This is called the founder effect. Example, large population, small group migrates, new isolated population. The new population may have unusual genetic characteristics. B. Bottleneck effect. A population may suddenly become very small due to natural disasters, disease, hunting, environmental changes. The surviving individuals may not represent the original population's genetic diversity. This causes genetic drift. Number 12, mutation theory. Hugo de Vries proposed the mutation theory. According to him, open quote, evolution occurs through sudden, heritable changes called mutations. He studied the plant, open quote, Oenothera lamarckiana, close quote. Important NEET point, Hugo de Vries mutation theory. Number 13, Hardy-Weinberg principle. This is one of the most important NEET topics. The Hardy-Weinberg principle states, open quote, allele frequencies in a population remain constant from generation to generation if no evolutionary forces act on the population. Close quote. This condition is called open quote, genetic equilibrium, close quote. Hardy-Weinberg equation for two alleles. Allele frequencies, P plus Q equals 1. Genotype frequencies, P2 plus 2PQ plus Q2 equals 1. Where minus P2 equals frequency of homozygous dominant genotype, 2PQ equals frequency of heterozygous genotype, Q square equals frequency of homozygous recessive genotype. Number 14, factors affecting Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. The genetic equilibrium is disturbed by 1. Gene migration, movement of genes between populations. 2. Genetic drift, random changes in allele frequency. 3. Mutation changes in DNA. 4. Genetic recombination, new combinations of genes. 5. Natural selection, favorable variations are selected. Memory trick, MGMRN, M, mutation G, gene migration M, genetic drift, R, recombination, N, natural selection. Number 15, divergent evolution. When organisms from a common ancestor evolve into different forms, it is called divergent evolution. Example, human arm, whale flipper, bat wing. These are homologous organs. Result, one ancestor, different forms. Number 16, convergent evolution. When organisms from different ancestors independently develop similar characteristics due to similar environmental conditions, it is called convergent evolution. Example, wings of birds, wings of butterflies. Both are used for flying, but have different evolutionary origins. Result, different ancestors, similar adaptations. Number 17, adaptive radiation. Adaptive radiation is, open quote, the evolution of different species from a common ancestor in a particular geographical area. Close quote. Examples, Darwin's finches, Australian marsupials. Sequence, common ancestor, different habitats, different adaptations, different species. Number 18, evolution does not mean progress. This is an important concept. Evolution does not always mean, open quote, simple organisms become better or more advanced. Close quote. Evolution means, open quote, organisms become better adapted to their particular environment, close quote. For example, bacteria are simple organisms, but are highly successful and widely distributed. Hack NEET important points. Evolution occurs in populations, not individuals. Evolution means change in allele frequencies over generations. Darwin proposed natural selection. Hugo de Vries proposed mutation theory. Biston betellaria is the peppered moth. Industrial melanism is an example of natural selection. Mutation and recombination are major sources of variation. Genetic drift is random. Founder effect is a type of genetic drift. Hardy-Weinberg principle represents genetic equilibrium. Homologous organs show divergent evolution. Analogous organs show convergent evolution. Adaptive radiation is a form of divergent evolution. Complete evolution sequence mutation plus recombination variation, natural selection, genetic drift, gene flow adaptation, reproductive isolation, speciation, biological evolution. One-line NEET definition. Open quote, biological evolution is the gradual change in the genetic composition of populations over successive generations, caused by mutation, recombination, natural selection, genetic drift, and gene flow, leading to adaptation and the formation of new species. Close quote. Chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans share common evolutionary ancestors. Important, humans did not evolve from present-day monkeys or chimpanzees. Instead, common ancestor, different evolutionary lines, humans and modern apes. Number 2, evolutionary history of humans. The important stages in human evolution are Dryopithecus, Ramapithecus, Australopithecines, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalensis, Homo sapiens. This sequence is very important for NEET. Number 3, Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus. Dryopithecus lived approximately 15 million years ago, was ape-like, had a diet mainly consisting of fruits, considered an early ancestor in human evolution. Ramapithecus lived approximately 4 to 15 million years ago, more human-like than Dryopithecus, had more upright posture, had stronger jaws and teeth. Evolutionary sequence: Dryopithecus, Ramapithecus. Number 4, Australopithecines. Time: approximately 4 to 2 million years ago. Features: lived in African grasslands, walked upright, had a brain capacity of approximately 400 to 500 cc, used simple tools, were omnivorous. They are considered important ancestors in human evolution. Important, Australopithecines were bipedal. Number 5, Homo habilis. Time: approximately 2 million years ago. Meaning: Homo habilis, handyman. They were among the earliest humans known to use tools. Features: brain capacity, 650 to 800 cc, used stone tools, lived in Africa, had a more developed brain than Australopithecines. NEET point: Homo habilis was the first human-like ancestor known for tool use. Number 6, Homo erectus. Time: approximately 1.5 million years ago. Meaning: Homo erectus is upright man. Features: brain capacity, approximately 900 cc, walked fully upright, used more advanced tools, used fire, ate meat, lived in caves and shelters. How important, Homo erectus was associated with the discovery and use of fire. Number 7, Homo neanderthalensis. Commonly called, open quote, Neanderthal man, close quote. Time: approximately 100,000 to 40,000 years ago. Features: lived in Europe and parts of Asia. Brain capacity approximately 1400 cc. Used tools, used fire, hunted animals, lived in caves, buried their dead. Important, their brain capacity was approximately equal to or sometimes greater than that of modern humans. Number 8, Homo sapiens. Modern humans belong to, open quote, Homo sapiens, close quote. Time: modern humans appeared approximately 200,000 years ago. Features: large brain, highly developed intelligence, complex language, advanced tools, art and culture, social organization, ability to think abstractly. The modern human is, open quote, Homo sapiens sapiens, close quote. Human evolution timeline: organism, approximate time, important features. Dryopithecus, 15 Maya, ape-like, fruit-eating. Ramapithecus, 14-15 Maya, more human-like. Australopithecines, 4 to 2 Maya, upright walking. Homo habilis, 2 Maya, tool use, 6 to 800 cc brain. Homo erectus, 1.5 Maya, upright, fire, 900 cc brain. Neanderthal man, 100,000 to 40,000 years ago, 1400 cc brain, buried dead. Homo sapiens, 200,000 years ago, modern humans. Maya equals million years ago. Important NEET human evolution facts. 1. First human-like ancestors, Australopithecines. 2. First tool users, Homo habilis. 3. First use of fire, Homo erectus. 4. Highest brain capacity among early humans, Neanderthal man, about 1400 cc. Modern humans, Homo sapiens. 6. Human evolution began mainly in Africa. This is why Africa is often called the cradle of human evolution. Human evolution and brain size. A general trend in human evolution was Australopithecus, 400 to 500 cc. Homo habilis, 650 to 800 cc. Homo erectus, 900 cc, Neanderthal man, 1400 cc, Homo sapiens, 50 cc. However, brain size alone does not determine intelligence. Complete sequence. Conclusion. Evolution. Evolution is the gradual process through which living organisms change over millions of years. The origin of life, fossils, comparative anatomy, embryology, molecular evidence, natural selection, adaptive radiation, and human evolution provide strong evidence for the evolution of life on Earth. Variations, mutations, recombination, natural selection, genetic drift, and gene flow contribute to evolutionary changes. Over generations, these changes lead to adaptation and the formation of new species. In conclusion, evolution explains the diversity of life and shows that all living organisms have developed through continuous changes from common ancestral forms over a long period of time.